Thanks everyone and welcome tonight to the update day number 120. Having one last issue and we should have everything solved. Finally, we've got good internet here in Nevada. I'm still in Yerington, Nevada, but I'm trying to get, we should be close. I know you guys are here on Facebook and some of you are here on YouTube, but the YouTube went to multiple places. You know, aren't you just sad when you miss your studio? But I think we're all dialed in now, and I want to say thanks all of you for being here. Jeff Burnett, as always, thank you for helping with the YouTube's up. It's rolling. We're good. Thank you for helping with moderation. Dude, ever since even we've added the moderator, all of our troubles have went away. Today is number 120, and want to thank you guys for being here as always. Got a full update for you tonight. Really a good day. So today we're going to have some good news. Not all good news, but just a little while ago President Zelensky tweeted out that today was a good day for Ukraine. It wasn't the best day on the military front out toward the east, and we will talk about that. I have all the updates for you. We did do pretty decent in the south towards Kherson, northwest. We'll look at that in the other regions, but today was a good day, not on the military side per se, but today was a good day looking ahead for tomorrow. Why? Because today we can confirm that HIMARS, a few HIMARS systems are in Ukraine. Secondly, the EU accepted Ukraine and Moldova as candidate status. And once again, you know, I'm not really concerned or so pumped up about the EU and what they're going to be bringing to the table. To be quite honest with you, that's not my big deal. But psychologically, it's really good for Ukraine. So we're going to get into it and get going here. Thanks all of you for being here and welcome tonight. It is day 120, 4 months, good psychological day, but I do have a little bit of bad news here on the Zhenya. You guys know him as PZ. I call him Zheka, Zhenya, Yevgen. You know, he's basically my co-host in here most of the time. I just got off the phone with him about 10 minutes ago. And I know it's the middle of the night over there, but I just got off the phone with him. And unfortunately tonight, my friends, Zhenya is pretty sick. So want to ask you guys all there that watch the updates, you feel as if you know us personally now, which we do. And many of you do know us personally, but now you feel like you really know Zhenya. And what you see is what you get. That's who he is, 100%. But he's very sick. All of the symptoms, temperature, and I don't know the symptoms of what. I'm just saying sick symptoms, not feeling well, exhausted, coughing, fever. He needs an Alka-Seltzer headache medicine so you can rest medicine. So remember him in prayer, and I'll check back on him a little bit later and see how he is doing. Bill and Rita Terry, welcome to you. Slava Ukraina, Rick Berry. JDO, EU brings no security aspects at all. I agree 1,000,000%. It's the psychological feeling that for once Ukraine has not been rejected in something since the war began. That's what Zelensky messaged out a few hours ago. You know, in the big picture, it's not that big of a deal, but what it is, finally somebody with an EU level said, hey, okay, we're going to work toward accepting you. So we'll take that and we'll be very happy with that. So here's the update, guys. The guys in Ukraine and Moldova were given candidate status today. And as we said, it's psychological win. It's a psychological good news. Secondly, on the psychological front, President Zelensky said, we've got HIMARS. They're coming. They're on the ground. And I can officially tell you, that one of the HIMARS systems is not just in western Ukraine, but it is actually over toward the Sumy and Kharkiv area. 100% of fact. Now, is it one? Yes. Do we need many more? Absolutely. But it's there. and we're very thankful for that. So you had two things today on the psychological front, and that's why the advertisement for the night was, it's a good day for Ukraine, because finally, whether it's the HIMARS system is physically on the ground, or just to get a nod from somebody, is a psychological win. Now, with that said, I do have John Kirby here making a few statements about HIMARS, and not back in the studio yet, one more week, but we're starting to get her dialed in, feeling a little bit more comfortable here on this road setup. So here you go. This is John Kirby a little bit earlier today.
I do think you'll continue to see systems like HIMARS going in future deliveries. I think that's very likely. I don't want to get ahead of specific announcements here, but again, the president was very clear with President Zelensky. We're going to help them as much as we can, as fast as we can. And I'll tell you, the material is going in at record speed. I've never seen. It's just unprecedented, the speed with which security assistance is actually reaching the front lines in Ukraine. There's literally shipments going in every single day, and it's not just from the United States. We are the biggest donor, but more than 40 other nations around the world are also contributing security assistance in some type or form to Ukraine. Obviously, the Ukrainians are in this fight. They determine what operations they're going to conduct, and that's their right. The material that they get from the United States is now theirs. It's Ukrainian property, and they get to determine how they're going to use it. Now, obviously, we want to see Ukraine's sovereignty fully respected. We want to see Ukraine's territorial integrity fully restored.
Now, a couple of things that are there that we need to pay attention to. Number one, we're thankful. Yes, HIMARS are there. More are coming. More is coming. But did you hear the political game there at the end? And that was this. I'm sure you heard it because you guys are smart up in here. John Kirby says, once we give it to Ukraine, it's Ukraine's. They can do with it what they want. Of course, trying to minimize the things that America is doing to supply finances and to supply weaponry. It's Ukraine's once we give it to them. So, hey, we're thankful. HIMARS are there. We're thankful. More is coming. But, as we discuss all the time, we're just, scratching the surface on what is needed. Now, folks, how about some more good news? What? 3 pieces of good news tonight? Yes. For you, those of you that watch on Reddit, see, I told you I'm not always a doomsdayer. I'm not a doomsdayer. I'm a realist, and we're a truthite looking for the truth. Here's the truth tonight. You can see in the right picture there, that is Budanov. I have done stories about Budanov for you. He is director of intelligence. He is very, very skilled, very good. He's much older than he looks. Great guy. But he put out a release today, and of course everybody knows that picture right there with the soldier under the Azovstal smiling. And of course this guy is in the Donetsk or Russia. He's either in Russia or in the Donetsk occupied areas with other Azovstal soldiers. But good news, Budanov came out today and said, we are extremely close to being able to have a prisoner exchange to release some of the Azovstal fighters that held on. It's not all. We do not know which ones it is, but it's good news. We've had some good psychological things. Even though Zhenya was sick, I was talking to him just a little bit earlier, and I asked him, I said, dude, military-wise today, a little tough. I said, but on the psychology side, there were some good things that happened. He said, yeah, there's good things that happened. How about another good thing happened? Malcolm Bills, I see you there in the chat over there in Great Britain. There's your man. There's Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson came out today and made a very direct statement to Ukraine. He says, listen, we will assist demining your coastal lands, and we will work together with you to secure exports of your harvest out of your ports, which would be right now Odessa. Boris Johnson was very clear. We as Great Britain will help demine and provide security for the exporting of your harvest. Once again, yesterday, Turkey and Russia playing their games, exporting wheat under their own rules, Ukrainian wheat, Ukrainian ships, Ukrainian harvest, Russian dollars, Turkish dollars. 24 hours later, here comes Boris Johnson. Hey, we will help you. Kind of similar, but in a different vein, to a week ago when some of the EU leaders were in Kyiv. And then 24 hours later, Boris Johnson shows up and says, listen, we're going to be your real friend. So we're very thankful for that. So folks, today, that's the reason the show was titled what it is. 4 good pieces of news today. Now, let's move on to some other things. Not only has Russia stolen harvest, not only has Russia stolen power, not only has Russia stolen natural resources, not only has Russia stolen people and children, but Russia has now stolen the largest solar farm in Ukraine. It's just over near the Melitopol region. Very, very sunny. How big is this? And I know you say, well, it's just solar, da 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 da. I understand that. But this is a 50 megawatt solar farm that covered the size of 100 football fields. This is a large solar power facility. It has now been dismantled, loaded, and taken to Russia. When is the world going to wake up that this is not about liberating people? This is about evil, imperialism, plunder, economics, and this war is much different than we understood coming out of Russia at the very beginning. Here, you guys know this guy, Jens Stoltenberg. Stoltenberg, who is the Secretary General of NATO, came out today and he made a couple of statements. Here is another piece of psychological good news for Ukraine. What is it? Jens Stoltenberg said, you know what? We're going to make sure somehow that Finland and Sweden are able to come into the NATO bloc, into the NATO family, into the NATO group of nations with or without you, Turkey. Turkey, you're going to have to concede. You're going to have to be more flexible because we must get Finland and Sweden into the NATO bloc. Once again, 24 hours after we see that Turkey and Russia are doing their own deals on the exporting of wheat, Jens Stoltenberg comes out and says, Finland and Sweden, they're coming in. Turkey, you have to make a decision. The other thing that Jens Stoltenberg said today, another piece of good news for Ukraine. He said directly, and I'm almost quoting, he said, Ukraine must win this war. Russia and Putin must not win this war. And basically the quote, I have it written here, is, the cost now, 120 days into this war, is too high. If we allow Putin to win, this world will change. Therefore, the cost is too high. We must do what is necessary for Ukraine to win this war. I think another piece of good news for Ukraine, additionally on the same day where he declares and makes it very clear that Finland and Sweden are coming in, like it or lump it, Turkey. Now, another piece of good news. I wish I had my sound effects with me and the full studio. We'd have some cheers going on all over the place. But folks, you know the map, and here it is. Bottom black circle is Mariupol. Above that, the smaller black circle is Donetsk. The red shaded areas are the occupied territories that Russia has in Ukraine now. The red line is the border, the official border between Russia and Ukraine. On the left is Ukraine, on the right is Russia. Bottom right is a city I've told you several different events about through the 120 days. That is a beautiful city, and it is beautiful, of Rostov, or Rostov-on-Don. And huge fuel refinery infrastructure is located in Rostov-on-Don. Today, 2 drones struck the fuel refineries in Rostov-on-Don, and they have been destroyed. Conspiracy theory or not, Russia struck their own or Ukraine struck it. At this point, it's not that important. They're gone. Now, I personally think Ukraine struck them. I do not think, tactically speaking, that Russia would strike their refineries in Rostov. Now, in other small regions and small cities, probably yes. Russia, of course, doing false flag events and striking some of their places close to the borders. But Rostov is not so close to the border. It's like 70 miles. Secondly, you're talking about a very cosmopolitan, beautiful, important city for Russia. You know, once the stream is over, go to Google, type in Rostov, R-O-S-T-O-V. Just take a look at the infrastructure, the pictures of the city. It really is a very high-tech, beautiful city there in Russia. And I personally feel that just lends credence to Ukraine actually struck Rostov. We do know it was a double drone strike, and that facility has been clicked. JDO says the only way to force Sweden and Finland getting into NATO is to vote to kick out Turkey, then allowing a vote to get in. Well, it may not be a bad idea. We shall see. I'm just telling you that's what Stoltenberg said, and it'll be interesting. Fire them where they want. Malcolm Bills, I love it. Eric Wood, bless you, brother. Checking in there from Carolina. Rainwater Games checking in today from Astoria, Oregon. Well, Rainwater, just come on down south. I'm in Yerington, Nevada, down out here in the middle of the desert near Fallon, Nevada. Of course, that is where Top Gun was. So that's where I'm at. So another piece of good news. You know, many nights we have to come on here and we talk about this or that or taking care of this person's sad story. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. It felt really good tonight to be in the office here. And what is this? I serve residential lending. Folks, I am in a residential lending company. We're about the only place in town here. They have high-speed internet, and they have given me their offices each day to prepare the updates. So very thankful to iServe Lending. If you are moving to Yerington, Nevada, and you need a mortgage, iServe Lending, nice people right here. Carolyn Dyer taking care of me, so I have internet. Praise God. So there. It really felt good to write all of my notes and prepare and speak to the guys in Ukraine today. Now, let's go to the next story. That's good. I told you lots of good news. This map looks a little interesting. I've got lots of figures drawn on it, but I will explain it to you, and I will tell you why it's good. Let me lay out this map for you. On the left, you see the green arrow coming in. That is the Baltic. And the little nation there, or the little piece of land circled in red, of course, is Kaliningrad. Now, directly below that, outlined in green, is Poland. Above that, outlined in purple, is Lithuania. In the center of the map, outlined in red, is Belarus. Of course, you know the shape of Ukraine now. That is Ukraine in the blue. And then everything to the right on the northeast side would be Russia. Far arrow to the right pointing directly at Moscow. Far arrow to the left pointing at the Russian area of Kaliningrad and their port. What happened? Today, Lithuania increased. I guess we could call it doubling down. I am in Nevada, so hey, not in Vegas and not in Reno, but I am in Nevada. So Lithuania today doubled down. Another piece of encouraging news for Ukraine. You say, well, what do you mean? Well, prior to today, they had put a ban on the transport of sanctioned goods from Kaliningrad through their territory to get into Belarus and then to head to Russia. Kind of like the parallel imports we were teaching you about last night. Lithuania said no way on rail. Well, today they doubled down and they said now no way on the road. Therefore, Russia is completely blockaded, isn't it nice, from transporting sanctioned goods through the territory of Lithuania, whether on rail or highway with a truck. Russia boiling, but they're being quiet. In addition to that, Belarus today, we already know, we've been sharing for probably the last week, where Belarus has been moving its troops down to the northern border of Ukraine, participating in war games. We know that Russia is there. We know the Iskanders are there. We know the S-300s are there, all of these missile systems. We know that Poland, on the left there, has pushed in some troops into that hot pocket there, which is the Volyn region of Ukraine, the Brest region of Belarus, and then, of course, that corner there of Poland. Well, today, Belarus pushed troops to the Lithuanian border. Not only that, Belarus has began digging trenches, warfare trenches, security trenches along their entire border system with Ukraine, with Poland, and with Lithuania. Now, we also know that Putin is coming to visit Lukashenko. What's going to come of that? We shall see, but we'll be watching it. What is interesting, and why is this good news? Because it has taken the small nation of Lithuania to stand up and partner together by saying no to Russia. No, you're not going to transport the sanctioned goods through our territory. Lithuania stood up for its sovereignty. Now we shall see what comes of that. But on today, June the 23rd, day 120 of the war, we can say yay and thank you to Lithuania for being bold. Remember, it was just 24 hours ago that Zhenya and I were talking about how these little nations are the ones that are leading by example. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, these Baltic nations. Once again, I remind you, why are the Baltic nations the one that are leading by example? Because they all lived under the Soviet regime of the USSR. They were behind the Iron Curtain. They know what happens under the Iron Curtain, and they are not going backwards. Folks, I have spent a lot of time in Estonia, and if everything stays fairly normal, I'm going to be in Helsinki, Finland in August. I'm also going to be in Tallinn, Estonia, and from there, going to head down into Poland, and from there, heading into Ukraine. We know these areas very well. When we talk about a small nation, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are just tiny, folks. Really tiny. But so mighty and so full of heart. This gives encouragement to Ukraine. On the psychological side today, 120 days of war, it is possible that today could be the second best psychological day that Ukraine has had in 120 days. Maybe the first. And I know you're sitting there tonight going, okay, if it's the second best psychological day, what would be the first best psychological day in 120 days of war? Well, I remind you of the day that the Moskva, the flagship of the Russian Navy, was put on the bottom of the Black Sea. That is kind of hard to beat. There was a energy that flowed through Ukraine. But today is just another similar day. And it feels good tonight. It feels good tonight to be able to come on here and give some good news. Now, a couple of things we want to look out as we're closing out tonight with the update, moving you now into southern Ukraine. And on the left there, of course, you have Mykolaiv, and you have Ukraine pushing down where the blue arrows are into that Kherson region. Remember, just last night, Zhenya was giving you guys some inside information when he says, I've got two good sources that tell me that some Ukrainian military are so close to Kherson they could possibly be in some of the streets, meaning they've moved into the actual city zones of Kherson. Good news. Now, with that said, yes, Russia pushing back in other areas. Strong attacks today on Mykolaiv, strong attacks on Zaporozhye, strong attacks on Kryvyi Rog. Want to draw your attention to the triangle there on the right side of the slide. That is the city of Inergodar. And I know you guys know, oh, Inergodar. Well, what does it sound like in the Russian language or the Ukrainian language? Energo. Energy. Of course, that is the place where the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, the ZNPP, is located, the largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine, and either the number 1 or number 2 in all of Europe. And of course, under complete Russian control, they have Ukrainian workers forced to work there, but it is completely under Russian control. Not only that, of course, they are using that very, very dangerous territory to launch attacks and to shell from. And of course, Ukraine cannot strike back because it is too risky that something could go wrong and we could have a nuclear disaster striking one of those storage areas or coolers, and however that entire infrastructure system works there. But very, very dangerous area. Why is that in the triangles tonight with a green arrow? Well, we've been telling you that many Ukrainians have been stolen. It is over 1 million Ukrainians that have been stolen and taken to Russia. Over 238,000 children have been stolen and taken to Russia. Folks, just think about it for a moment. 1.2 million gone. Today, it was reported that unfortunately, in Inergodar, they are stealing people by the hundreds and by the thousands. Not just these workers. It's almost as if the Russian military is just trying to leave that little nucleus of workers that work, because these guys are specialists. They are nuclear scientists. They are, they have specialized jobs in that nuclear power plant. That is a big daddy nuclear power plant. So you can't just have Joe Schmo in there running computers. You've got to have the pros in there. So those guys under occupation and of being forced to run the nuclear power plant, being forced to keep it safe. But those in the town, in the city of Inergodar, these guys' family members, now I'm just getting down and telling you the truth now, are being stolen, gone, taken at very high levels over the last 24 to 48 hours. Why? It's possibly because the scientists that are working there and those that are responsible, it's like up to 100 guys, Ukrainians, that are working there are just fed up. They're fed up. Some of them have been shot. They have been beaten. They have been tortured, but they are forced to work that power plant. And I'm just thinking it's possible that they've reached that level of no return. They're just so frustrated by what Russia is doing to them that maybe they are choosing not to do their jobs. And I think probably we will see over the next few days the correlation between the working of that nuclear power plant and why so many people over the last 24 to 48 hours have been taken out of Inergodar. But we will watch it and we will see. Finally, last two things here. Lysychansk, Severodonetsk. We've had a great day. We've had a great report tonight. Lots of good, upbeat news. Some really good wins for Ukraine today. Unfortunately, this is the hot area, and this is not going well. So we tell you the truth. Kidnapped, that's exactly right. Great day for Ukraine. NATO sees the writing on the wall. Turkey is a fake member. Their power is decreasing. Hopefully the world is waking up to Putin strategy. Putin must be defeated. You know, we watch it every day there, Don, and it sure does seem like a lot of chips fell today with positive information of hopefully some folks waking up. But regardless, today, June 23rd, been a good day for Ukraine psychologically. Now, where is it not good? Over here in the east. Severodonetsk. You know, I put the slide up, or the program up about a week ago that Severodonetsk will fall. And it's going to. It's basically fallen now. There is the holdout region around that Azot plant. But unfortunately, I have two blue circles there. One is just below Severodonetsk, right in the middle of the map to the right. And then below that, in the bottom of the map, Zolota. These are the regions that Zhenya and I were talking about last night. And you can see Russian forces coming in from the south, coming in from the east, and coming in from the north. They're really trying to pinch off the Ukrainian military here. And they're getting close to doing it. How close are they getting to being able to pull this off? Well, unfortunately today, and it was just about 90 minutes ago, which would have been early in the morning there in Ukraine, but about 90 minutes ago, out of Kyiv, the general staff have called for a retreat out of Zolota and out of some of the villages just south of Severodonetsk. So about 90 minutes ago, Ukraine military that is there have been told to pull back from Zolota, pull back from the villages south of Severodonetsk, and unfortunately pull back from Lysychansk. Now they're going to have to, because the overwhelming force, and I don't mean just soldiers, it's the shelling. It's nonstop. And today, on top of that, Russia began doing air runs with their aircraft, bombing runs on Severodonetsk, on Lysychansk, and on some of these pocket areas. You see, Russia has not really been doing many air runs. Why? Sorties, I think that's what you guys call them, military guys, sorties, because Ukraine's done such a good job shooting their aircraft down. But in this region today, they added some of those runs over Severodonetsk, just increasing the pressure in these villages. And about 90 minutes ago, General Staff called for Ukraine to pull back to fortified positions. If and when that happens, we're probably going to see this little pocket here red up. And for those of you in Pennsylvania, I'm from Virginia originally. Lived all over the United States and lots of time in Europe. Red up in Pennsylvania means to clean up and prepare the house. We're not talking about that red up. It's just looking like this map's going to go a little red here, and we'll get it back. Finally, the last thing. This is minimum of what we're looking at, and I think with a lot of the good news that came out today, it may adjust Putin's plans some. There was a lot of good news, folks. A lot of good news. But I have 5 circles there, and I covered up the cities on purpose. You can check your own memory banks right now and see what you think, but I'll tell them to you. Top circle, Sumy. Second circle to the right, Kharkiv. Third circle in the middle, Dnipro. Circle below that, Zaporozhye. Circle to the left, Mykolaiv. These are 5 target cities. I pushed out and kind of bled some red there. I think with the red line north of Sumy down to Moldova, with that Transnistria region that Russia already occupies, I think this is the minimum that Putin will be looking for. This is the minimum of where it would be possible for a slowdown or a stop. And of course, we're just looking at that from the Russian side. We know where Ukraine stands. Ukraine is going to push back. Ukraine is going to, goal number 1, push back to the February 24th lines, and then goal number 2, to push Russia completely out of Lugansk, out of Donetsk, and the regions in the south, including Crimea. But with all that's being said, with all that's being done, we're going to be seeing what is up Putin's sleeve next. But overall today, very, very good day for Ukraine, and good day. Good day. A lot of positives. So guys, thank you for being here tonight. That is the update, and you are right, JDO. No need for Azovstal 2.0. That's not going to happen. And sometimes you got to pull back and re-strengthen and then go back. There's just no reason to suicide these guys and back to this area here that are really trapped in this area. So that's where we're at, guys. I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of the updates each day, day 120. Tomorrow night, I should have an update on the numbers. PK sent me some new numbers today, doing a great job with our support. And, of course, tomorrow, try to get Zhenya, see how his health is, and hope he's feeling better. But, folks, good night. So it's a good night to you and a good night to all. And, of course, you know, I'm out here on the road. The only outro I got is the one of me and Zhenya. So here you go. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you in 23 hours. You're completely caught up. Be blessed.
Okay. You first.
No, I'm first. A good night to all.
To all, a good night.